Hello there. In the previous video, we basically did a high level overview of what Iovance does. Um, Treatment, the very foundational SWOT analysis, which stands for basically strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And basically, we went a little bit through the catalyst and so on, right? The objective of this call is basically to focus more on some stock price predictions. But before we kick off and start with that, I want to make extremely clear yet again that I am by no means a financial investor and I am not a scientist. I don't have any scientific background whatsoever. I'm just someone that maybe like you have just, has just started to invest and is trying to educate herself. And while I was doing that, I was thinking, why would I not just share it, right? So this basically means that every time that I make any statement, is going to be my perspective, and my perspective changes by the minute as I learn things and shoot yours. So please do your own due diligence, as people call it in this industry, and feel free to comment on the YouTube video comment section if you want to make any corrections or you want to add anything to that, or if you want to ask questions, because that's the point. Okay, contributing all of us to help each other, that's the objective. Now, a mini disclaimer: ChatGPT and Perplexity AI. Okay, so I've used them basically to correct my logical process when thinking about how to structure this. I've also used them for data, but you will see that I've personally manually reviewed the data before and after basically the catalyst happened, to make sure that I'm not being biased by ChatGPT and Perplexity AI, because most of us probably already know that they are a bit shit. Okay, so in that sense, you are safe. But as I always like to say, and you should always do, please, you do your numbers, you check, and again, if there's anything to correct, just put it on the comment section so we are all aware of that. Okay, something else, and we will touch on this in the technical analysis bit. Past performance is no guarantee for future performance, right? So we're going to be touching on resistance and support levels and many of the things. I'm going to be basically summarizing the stock price variation that happened before or after a catalyst, and I'm going to be putting that together on a table. Doesn't mean that when the upcoming catalyst happen, that is going to happen all over again, right? It's just a reference, because that's the only thing that I have. Basically, the only thing that we have to forecast the future is the present and the past, right? So that is exactly what I'm doing. And obviously, I do not see the future, okay? So please be careful with all that. Okay, biotech, we all know that. In case you don't, biotech is extremely high risk, high reward. There are some reasons for faith with Iovance. Why? Because the real world data they shared basically for Amtagvi, which is a treatment for melanoma they have approved by the FDA, was really good. But again, we are talking about other cancers or indications, and that may not be the case for these indications. Okay, so we need to be really careful and making sure that we are not basically investing money that we could lose and then be in real trouble. Okay, obviously that depends on your risk profile. I will make it clear, my profile is high risk. I'm young. I can, I have in principle, I hope, all my life ahead of me. I can recover money. I can go to shit at this moment in my life. I don't care, right? So if you have people that depend on you or some specific needs for money at specific times, you should basically base your investment decisions on that, on your personal life timeframes and financial needs. Okay, so again, this is just a perspective, an analysis. You have to do yours and you need to challenge it and so on. I don't want to repeat myself anyway. Important though, you do not lose until you sell. So if sometimes, like right now, Iovance, we haven't had really strong catalysts. We are waiting for data, but nothing is happening. So what is going to the market? The shit. They are going to go up and down and crazy like children in a playground, right? If nothing in my thesis, in the very foundation of the value proposition of Iovance and the context, the greater context that the biotech industry, competitors, if nothing is changing, if nothing that really matters is changing, I don't give two shits if they want to bring it down. I do care, and I need to question why the hell it's going down, but I don't care if the essentials, the truth, what I really care about hasn't changed. Okay. And again, sometimes we saw that with Replimune, I think it's pronounced, Replimune. They basically didn't get FDA approval, although now they came back. We'll talk about that in a minute. And we saw that the stock price went to shit, and then it recovered. Is that going to be the case for Iovance? I don't know. I do not see the future, neither do you. Okay, but these are things to consider, and these are things to study, right? Like, go to ChatGPT, Perplexity AI, and ask about companies that went through the same processes. Then check the data by yourself, because I've been able to realize that they do not provide information correctly. And let's not be like Deloitte that charges 300K or whatever for a report done purely by ChatGPT. Let's, for now, honestly, we can be ahead of the machines. Just use them correctly, but filter everything and check everything by yourself, okay, manually. I know it's a nightmare, but it is what it is. Super important, amazing. We've made a lot of money, or we hope so. Obviously, if we don't make money, we do not pay taxes. But the moment that we make money, we will pay taxes. How much depends on the thresholds of your country and your regional, no, national legislation. Okay, so you need to check basically. And I said it in the previous video. Please don't go for the standard fiscal advisors or whatever advisors. Sorry, go for the strategic fiscal advisors, because they will really show you how to pay less taxes, or even help you pay taxes in a meaningful way for you, whatever that means for you. Okay. Okay, other two really personal recommendations. Every time in my life that I've had a lot of money, or that I went through a lot of trouble, I never told anyone. And it turns out it was the best strategy that I could do. I've also shared my let's say, yeah, my investment portfolio with a couple of people in my company, but I haven't done it with everyone. I will not share if I've lost a lot of money or made a lot of money with people that have a really strong track record for making irresponsible decisions, or that, they are just maybe too immature, I don't know what's the word, to assess, the big picture correctly and understand the hours and the risks that you take, only to maybe ask you money and put you in really difficult situations. So honestly, please don't. And also, you may want to have a Porsche, but you may choose to buy a Toyota just because the Porsche is basically putting a display on your face saying, hey, I'm rich, abuse me. And Toyota is saying, okay, this is just a nice girl that is into cars, maybe she wants reliability, blah blah. It's a Toyota, who cares about the Toyota, right? So be careful with those decisions when you get a lot of money. And the same goes if you lose a lot of money. Maybe stay alone or with someone that you truly love, and that loves you back and respects you and understands. And then after that, gain some composure, I think is a word in English. I'm Spanish, so my English is not the best, yes or no. And then make the decision. Okay, anyway, so what is the agenda? So because we're going to be talking about the future, we are going to speculate like crazy. Okay, but I am going to try to speculate with substance. What does that mean? We are going to focus on these 5 things. First of all, what are the key events that are driving the stock prices for Iovance? It's mostly for any biotech or company out there, but we will deep dive into the specifics. I'm going to be looking at historical data from the moment that Amtagi was approved until today, basically, or depends on when I publish this video, 2 or 3 days. We'll see. Okay, we are going to basically see how, based on the outcome for the by the way, a catalyst means an event that is really important. So for example, if a biotech company gains FDA approval to commercialize a treatment or a product, then obviously the stock is going to be the stock price is going to go up, because everyone is like, shit, I want that, right? It's going to go up, blah, blah, blah. And then they make it go up. And if they don't, then it goes to shit, right? It may recover, it may not. I don't care. That's not the point of this conversation right now. Okay, so that is a catalyst. Okay, then when professional people and unprofessional people estimate a stock price, they usually use 3 scenarios: bear based bull. Bear scenario is that we are really pessimistic about the stock. It could go either way, but for now it seems that there is not a strong foundation, or maybe they fucked up on some really relevant things, and the market has decided to put their money elsewhere because there's also an opportunity cost, right? Why would I stay at maybe Iovance right now when I see that the artificial intelligence companies are going like crazy, right? Maybe I would rather put my money on artificial intelligence. You should do both. In the previous video, I mentioned my hedging strategy. First of all, I always keep cash for at least a year, and because I forward plan quite a lot, 2 years. Then I put money in different places based on my again my emotional and financial needs and blah blah. So go back to the previous video if you can. I put timestamps Jesus on that video and this one so that you can go straight to what matters to you. Okay. But that's really important. Hedging, protect yourself. Okay, this is all about protecting yourself and being free and feeling safe and having peace of mind so that you can put your talents or the beauty inside of you outside in the world in meaningful ways, right? That is the objective of investing, at least for me. Okay, after that, because we're going to be talking about stock prices and all this is really technical to some extent. Is technical chart analysis, right? Fundamental analysis is more about the specifics of the company, right? That usually guides investors, and then they use charts to see, oh, are we about to go down? Oh, are we going to go about to go up? Is the sentiment varies? Is it bull? Where are we, right? Personally, I focus on the fundamentals, but I do keep an eye on a number of indicators that I will tell you about later, briefly, right? I'm not a professional advisor. I won't pretend I am. I'm not fluent in technical analysis whatsoever. So I'm going to go really high level just in case you don't know this, because my objective for this video, and some people came to me on stock tweets and X saying, you need to make it shorter. I understand. That's what you need. This is why I put the timestamps. But my objective is protecting and informing and educating the people that, like me, didn't know shit and went like crazy to put money because it's so easy, right? It's like spending money. You just pass the card, you just pass the phone, and then that's it. 1,000 euros gone, right? So no, my objective is to make you stop and work. And by the way, I'm going to be sharing templates for you to do at your own pace in your house whenever you feel like you can do it. But I will explain about that later on, okay? And then, because obviously, so what's ideal in a biotech company, in a small cap company like Iovance that just started to commercialize? We don't have the financial muscle and the means that big pharma like Merck or Pfizer or whatever have, right? We are small. So something that could happen, three things could happen: that we have to go alone, and then that's a bit of a very sad scenario in a way, because we have to dilute. But if we are delivering good results, maybe that will compensate. The other scenario is that we sign a partnership, and usually a partnership comes with a cash injection. The company, the big company signing the partnership, let's say Merck, for example, will give us money that will help to keep on going, because just remember that Iovance right now only has cash for up to Q3 2026, I think, or Q4. Let's be conservative. Let's say Q3 2026, and we will see if that's the case next week, I think. No, in 2 weeks we have the earning reports. That's when companies basically share their quarterly results, and we will see if they are actually burning more cash than they should, or what's happening. Okay, so these are even the information that the company gives to us, to an extent, is speculative, and we saw it with 2025 Q1 or Q2. They fucked up with the how is it called, with the guidance. They thought they were going to make more money than they actually did, and then obviously they were penalized by the market, right? The same can happen to anyone anyway, but we're going to try to be really conservative here, and I am going to be showing you all my biases, all my criteria, how I weight certain things, so that you can, and I will and I've created a template so that you can put yours, so that you can basically assess if I am being too conservative, too aggressive, or what. Okay, and then you will do you with the template that I will put on the video whenever I can. Okay, again, timestamps, you go wherever you go. You go wherever you want to go. Jesus, sorry. Okay, first, catalyst outcome. What's the influence what has been the influence on the price, on the stock price for Iovance based on the catalysts that happened in the past, right? That's the answer. I got bitten by a mosquito and I just saw it. So. Anyway, so yeah, I'm basically looking from February 14, 2024. So that is last year. That what happened. Basically, Amtagvi received FDA approval, right, for melanoma in the US. FDA is the authority in the US to the present day. The last thing that happened basically was Replimune. Okay, I will explain. Okay, because you're going to be having this presentation and Excel and everything, and you can go back and you can go back to the past and forward to the future whenever you want. I am not going to dive too much into this. Just so you know, this is the data that I'm going to be using on the stock estimation simulation exercise that we're going to go later. We're going to do later on. What I saw basically, and regarding the latest quarters, for example, is that usually after an earning report, because right now we are not profitable because we have a really strong and expensive to maintain pipeline. Shit, sorry, I'm so sorry. Uh, um, we're not making money, so obviously the news in mostly every any report are not the best. So we're being penalized because of it, and we saw decreases of between minus 40%, let's say, and 20%. Okay, in the last moves. Then I could see that when they basically published real world data through a relevant journal, like for example, Journal of Oncology, the stock price went up 36%. And when they just and when they put new real world data by themselves on the site, the impact wasn't the same. Okay, in this case, when this last happened, they basically shared the real world data, and shortly after, they basically made it public that they had hired a new CFO and someone that worked for the FDA, which is obviously of extreme strategic value. And then the stock went up like 105%, right? Then when Amtagvi got approval, we saw that the stock price went up 90% ish. When there is illusion, I've seen for what I've seen, and again, you go into the numbers yourself, you go deeper than I've gone. When basically we dilute, I was able to see minus 18% decrease in the stock price. Okay, in other cases it's been 10%. Again, I will show you I'm doing later what I've done basically to work more on average and not focus so much as to what happened once, what happened then, because it's all about averages, right? Then, for example, when we got Canada approval for Amtagvi, I don't know why there is an asterisk there. Anyway, basically the stock price went up 7.6. Really important. Okay, I will show you an example. Okay, what am I doing with the price? When I put here, you see here, for example, that I put, let's say, October 2025, Replimune is back. Okay, I basically informed you that nothing especially relevant happened shortly before. So in the same month, before the stock price, literally like the same day or the day before, the stock price was 2.45. Okay, the peak after, and I put the peak after. So I don't pay attention to exactly what happened the next day. Why? Because the market needs time to catch up, right? And in fact, when there is a buyout in the biotech industry, usually the stock price is not. It doesn't go to the highest level right after it is announced that Merck, I hope, bought Iovance. It takes maybe 5 days, and do your own averages. But what I saw is between 5 and 7 days, and then usually goes down right before it reaches the peak. That educates me and tells me that maybe if this happens with Iovance, I should not sell right away. I should wait a few days, and then I will show you through technical analysis how to use the resistance and the support levels to say, okay, maybe it's time to sell or maybe it's time to wait. Okay. So yeah, this specific piece of data, Replimune affecting negatively in minus 4.37% Iovance, is really hard to tell because the market could be factoring in or discounting, in case you hear the words in the wild, other things. Or this number could be a combination of Replimune coming back to the treatment with the RP1 for melanoma, and it could also be these plus fears of or just volatility, right? Volatility. Yes, sorry, I can't say the fucking word. Okay, so you need to take everything with a pinch of salt. This is the piece of data that I like least because I haven't had enough time to assess, and again, I can't really assess it. Okay, but we're going to focus on other things. For example, what happened before that is of relevance, right? On September 15th, Iovance announced a partnership with McKesson. These guys are really, really powerful, really strong, and it's great because they help with reimbursement. What does that mean? Iovance, the treatment, for example, I'm talking specifically, and what you need, let's say, end to end to make the treatment work from an Iovance perspective is around 500, like $500,000, right? That is a lot of money. And who is going to be delivering that? Clinics, hospitals. I, as the CEO director of the hospital or CFO of the hospital, I need to manage my financials, and I'm not going to give you $500,000 if I have doubts about durability, what is going to be the lifestyle, the quality of life of my patient after this treatment. So I may decide to go for another treatment, and this is why I think people is really obsessed with the strategic FDA hired, and I think they are right. It's a really great choice. But let's remember that the doctors, the people who are truly helping the patients and referring and suggesting, okay, and now at this point, you patient, what I recommend you in your situation is try A or B. They need to be sure of the numbers. They don't give two shits about politics. We are adults here. We know how the world works, right? And the FDA works and all these things work, right? Yeah, important to mention. So when that happened with McKesson, honestly, it's as if the market didn't give two shits when that was announced, and in fact, it went down. But again, did it go down minus 9.25? Because of this, I have doubts, right? So again, we're going to be focusing on other events that I think are more relevant and more enlightening and insightful than these ones. Okay. Yes, open the window a little. Yeah. Okay, so that's what happened there. Okay, then August 7, we get an impressive 2025 Q2 results, and together with that, in the same PR, we get that they've withdrawn the EMA, which is basically the European authorities submission for Amtagvi. Then we saw in the news that actually the European authorities were concerned about toxicity, durability, and other things, and basically they asked them to change the way that they presented the data, and we will see if we actually get a Euro approval. I will show you how I think this is likely, what was the most likely outcome, and how that could affect the stock price. But I don't see the future. This is just an idea. Okay, yeah. So when that happened, what happened? The stock price went down for like 25.38% to be precise. Okay, it was 2.64 USD before, and then it went to 1.97 shortly after. And you actually can see here the crazy decline on the right on the graph that I put, right, where you see that it went down like crazy. Actually, I don't know if you can see me moving the mouse, but just in case, I'm going to describe it verbally, just in case. Okay, what happened before that? Before that, basically, we got the real world Amtapi data, and we also got a strategic hires like the new CFO, the new FDA guy, and so on. So again, everything put together, plus 105.7, right? How do I know if like exactly what had what weight? I have no idea. All I know is that all that worked really nicely, and for whatever the reason, the stock price went right to 3.97, although we see on the graph on the right that yeah, it went to 3.97 and then it went back. Why? Because people probably are already factoring the fact that Amtagi was going to be good. They would basically bring the stock price down if it was bad. It wasn't a strategic high is amazing, let's create a high, we get excited, but then back to the very sentiment because nothing has changed and the cues continue to be bad, right? So yeah, before that we got the real world results. That was basically in May, and this happened in July. So it was quite quiet for a while. And let's remember, by the way, that now we are celebrating. We were like 240 lately. I will assume that we are back to 222 or something, because this is how it works when you see this video. What we see here is that is I will give you this, so, because maybe you need a different logic to actually understand and gather the importance here. But let's say that in May 8th, we got the quarter one results for this year, and it went back. It went down like shit. I assume this is when we had the maintenance issues. The stock price went to minus 43.5. Right, this is when we went from 317 and we were stuck in the 179, 169 for quite a long time. Right, then we get real world Amtagvi results, and the market is like, these guys are serious. They actually know what they are doing, and they may actually stand a chance in working out this scenario of Iovance being a platform for all cancers, right? And the first one and the only one with TIL approval, which is the bullish case, and the reason why we are here, many of us, right? So yeah, when the real world data comes out, and it comes out in the Journal of Clinical Oncology, because it really has an effect how the data is published. And actually that's one of the reasons maybe why they actually want to publish lung and all the readouts in proper places beyond the website. Boom, plus 36%, right? It went from 175 a bit after the any results for the first quarter of 2025 to 2.36. Did it hold? So obviously, if we go backwards in the right in the PowerPoint, you will see the answers. Okay, what happened in February 14 is when we get approval for Amtagvi. The stock price went to plus 90.30%, let's say 90%. Right, it was at 9.18 before. After FDA approval, it went to 17.47. And I said the exact same thing. It took days for the stock price to catch up and reach a peak. So this tells us that maybe it's not a good idea to sell our stock, whatever, our shares, right after the good news, right? Sorry, so hot. It may be interesting and smart to just wait a little bit, okay? Okay, and then what happens? February 7, what is this? Yeah, sorry. Yeah, so basically 13 days later, we get the results for the fourth quarter of 2024. And yeah, they were not as good as they should. And what happens? We go back minus 24%, 0.49. So basically, we ended up being in 4, and obviously, right, downward trend, as you can see in the graph. And this is why we are here today. Why are we here today? Right? This is the main question. Really, really easy. And actually, I've put everything here in writing, so you have it for reference later. What happened? Company-specific fundamental factors: weak earnings reports, check. High debt or push cash flow, check. Management issues with shitty guidance and so on, checked. Dilutions, checked. Restructuring, yeah, we basically fired a lot of people, rightly so. They had to do it. Why? Because they hired based on the estimated demand they thought they would have. So obviously, if I don't have the demand, I cannot maintain my people, right? When I am the CEO of a company, it's not about having a really good heart. It's really about the survival of the company, right? It's not about keeping people that I cannot afford, because otherwise we all go to shit. And these are decisions that CEOs, CFOs, presidents of the states, and all these things need to unfortunately do, right? It is what it is. So yeah, we basically checked everything that can go wrong in the company specific fundamentals. Then there are macroeconomics and market factors. There is a lot of people. Well, okay, interest rates, they've cut them. This is really good, and this is probably helping us in the background. Inflation is there, and it will continue to be there. If you decrease interest rates, inflation will come, and it will continue to come in the US, in Europe, everywhere, based on what we know. Economic slowdown, recession, yes, but there is something really good, even though it's shitty to say, about people with cancer. The money is inelastic? What does that mean? People can choose to have cancer or not, right? They will need a treatment whenever they are ill, and that never changes. And in fact, because we eat like fucking shit, that is going to go up. So in that sense, This is good for us, unfortunately, right? Okay, then regulation. Best timing ever. Now the FDA all of a sudden announced these fast track vouchers, and they were going to give just an amount, and they announced recently, like a few days ago, that actually they are going to give more. Could we have one? Maybe, we don't know. I will also talk about that later. But this is good, right? Also, the XBI, which is basically an index for biotech technology, is going up, which is super nice. What's happening right now? People see basically how materials and how artificial intelligence is going up, so they may choose to put their money there, right? Instead of staying in Iovance and having the money dead doing nothing. That's a really huge opportunity cost to take into account, right? So sometimes we will see that institutions will sell and then they may come back or they may not. That's something also to check, okay, and to monitor. Geopolitical, yes, Israel, Palestine, Ukraine, Russia, and so many more conflicts that do not appear on the TV, and so many issues everywhere. Of course, they matter, and of course, they've been discounted in the price. When I say the word discount, remember this means factoring is already taken into account and built in the price, the stock price, okay? Now, behavioral and sentiment drivers. There's always going to be panic selling. There's always going to be people that are like so fed up with the Iovance always being red and so on that they are like, fuck it, I'm gonna sell and I'm going to make money somewhere else. Honestly, fair enough. Okay, are we? What else? What else? Short-term reaction to news. Yeah, unfortunately, we're not having so many news, and this is difficult, right? Like we basically need, to, and this is why the stock price consolidated. That basically means when the stock price is in a, it's not going up or going down substantially, and it's like in a channel, in a straight line, and it's moving here. That usually means that there are no people are holding, some people are selling, some people are buying, but there's people know that catalysts are coming and they are like waiting, right? So there's not much to say, right? But in general, why does the stock price go up or down? You see here the graphic where you see the photo where you see demand and supply, right? It's not a coincidence. Fuck, why are you telling me? Why? Anyway, it's yes, I know. Why? What's happening? Okay, never mind. Okay, never mind. I was supposed to basically show you that if you take this arrow and you put it on top of demand and supply, you really see that basically when there is more demand, when people buying are more than people selling, the price goes up, right? If there are only three apples in the world, you will pay a lot of money for my freaking three apples, right? But if there are thousands of millions of apple in the world, right, then supply is going to be bigger than demand, and then what's going to happen? The price is going to go down. So what's happening right now with Iovance? People are going to other places to make money, and some people are really tired, and some people are really concerned about the risks because they exist. There's nothing guaranteed in this world, and this is something that is definitely the opposite to guaranteed, right? So all this basically is factoring in the price. Now we are going to be talking and move, go to other places through the timestamps if you don't want to be here, something really really basic, because again, I am not a professional investor. I don't know anything mostly about technical analysis. I do not check these indicators that I will tell you about in a second on a daily basis. I do check for resistance level, like certain things I do check, and this is what I'm going to show you, okay? But I am not a professional investor. So what have I done, right? I've basically gone to a guy on the internet. If you put this is the only technical analysis video that you will ever need, many are going to come out. Honestly, watch all of them and understand that is definitely not that you will ever need, but it's really a good place to start, okay? So this is the source. Just respectfully towards the person, my gratitude is to him, the trading channel on YouTube, right? Okay, so if you go to Google or if you go to stocks on your iPhone or whatever Android you have, you're going to be basically seeing a chart. A chart is the graphic that you see on the left, that basically is a visual representation of the stock price movements of a given company, right? There are different ways to see it. You may see this, which is called a candlestick, right? You see the red and greens, or you may just see a straight lines, okay? But usually most people like to see this because what does it tell you? If the candlestick is green, it means that we closed higher than we opened. Basically, my apple now is more expensive than it was. Amazing. If my apple is now cheaper than it was, then not so good. Red. Okay. Now, obviously, everything is about mathematics. If the candle is longer or taller, however you want to say it, it means that the difference between the closing and open price obviously is bigger, right? It's all mathematics. It's all about volumes. And everything is about physics, by the way. People should read more about physics. But anyway, so yeah, you have here basically, if you take a little candle, you're going to see here that you're going to be seeing the close or open price up or down based on basically if it was better or worse than the opening price. And that's it. Honestly, I don't want to go too much into this. Okay, so what's going to happen? Right. So we're going to go to Iovance. We're going to go to Google. We are going to search for the chart, and then we are finally going to see all this nightmare. Like, how can I make sense of it? Right. So what you can do is literally put it on your iPhone, iPad, phone, computer, whatever, and do lines. Right. Here, basically, what do I know? Right. It's super easy. The trend is going up. Right. The previous peaks. So each next peak is higher than the previous, so obviously we are going up, right? But in some cases, like this one on the right, not so easy to read trend, is not so obvious. What the hell is it going to do, right? How do I know if it's going to go up? And then now what's the continuation like? Okay, so what do we do to know this? We basically use the resistance and support level. I was supposed to paint something here, but now I have this freaking pop-up about my privacy, whatever, so I can't do it. But basically, what is a resistance and what is a support? Okay, you see that here on, just in case you actually can't see me, I'm on the not so easy to read trend, and we're basically seeing black lines, right, put together that display or represent the stock prices of a given company. Now we see that the trend is somewhat upwards in the first two peaks, right? So we're like, think of a mountain. When we get to the peak, in the first two peaks, everything seems that it's going well, and then at some point it goes down, and you wonder, is it going to go down? Is it going to continue going down, or is it going to go up, respecting the previous mountain, the previous week peak? Sorry, it goes down. Okay, so what does that mean? The moment that the stock price cannot continue to go up, that highest where we left and went down, that is a resistance. My stock price is like, the market is resisting my stock price to go beyond that resistance. Okay, then I'm going to have minimums, like for example, the little inverted peak between the first two mountains here. Again, I don't know if you can see me. That's support. What does it mean? The market is supporting the price and it will push it up, right? So what's going to happen? Basically, what I'm going to be observing is, okay, is the next movement respecting my support level, or is it going down? Because if it's going down, my support level, fuck, I don't have support. Maybe I will go down. Or is it actually going up, going down, but then it goes up and it never touches on the support level? When that basically tells me that we are above support level, so technically we are safe. And I say technically because remember, this is a chart. We are basically late. We are observing the past, right? If I'm checking the stock price, this stock price, for example, at 12:15, and at 12:16 they announced that they didn't get FDA approval, I'm fucking late. This is going to go down irrespectively of if it was respecting support levels or not. It will go down, and then I will be basically checking for my support levels and saying, fuck, is it going to hold here? Is it going to go here? Is it not? No, then it's going to go down, right? Unless something outside happens. The trend is like physics. If a body is in a given direction, unless something external pushes it in a different direction, or something internal could happen, it's going to follow the trend, right? The trend is your friend. This is what investment people, blah, blah, say that trend is your friend, right? This is why fundamental analysis is so important, right? Because I need to know why my stock price, what is affecting my company to actually be able to make decisions. It's amazing to check the price and check different indicators, but honestly, it's all about quality. It's not, people today are obsessed with the fucking data, and it's great and we need it, but honestly, certain things, the most beautiful things in life, you cannot qualify them. You just need to understand the context, the different elements, and how those elements play together, which is the immense objective and challenge that I have for this fucking video. Okay, so anyway, point 3, what's likely to happen in the trend below? What are we seeing, right? We are seeing that towards the end, so far, the the last 4 or 5 candles, right? They are basically somewhat above the previous to last support levels, which is the resistance. So technically, it should go up, right? Technically, will it do it? Depends. If someone launches a news or someone launches a fucking rocket with a bomb to your country, maybe not, right? Depending on what's happening outside. So this is why we need to do fundamental analysis. We want to also learn about technical analysis, okay? And then because everything is mathematics, everything is about symmetry, like music, like absolutely everything in life. You basically have, there's actually a lot of artificial intelligence tools that basically you upload your graph, your chart, and based on the patterns of the candles, they can tell you if they are bullish, they are bearish, or they are what. So this is something really interesting, because especially for day traders and people that make money by the minute, let's say, because they are waiting for this stock to go 50% up, and then right, they capitalize, they get returns on that. This would be super useful. Okay, so just check on Google candlestick patterns and you will find them. Indicators. What is an indicator? Right. So let's say that I sell, I don't know, apples, right? I want to understand. I have a child. I have a child and I have a dog, meaning that I need to basically find a way to look after my child and my dog, and then I need to make money, right? So what am I going to do? Right. So what I could do is spending every day for 7 days in the market trying to sell apples, right? And then I'm going to do a study, and I'm going to say at what times specifically I make the more apples, right? And then I'm going to make some averages. And then based on those averages, like what's the average number of people at this time, or what's the average sale that I do at this time, right? Why the fuck would I be from 9 to 10 if I know that if I stay from 10 to 11, I make 80% of my money, and the remaining 20%, I don't need it, and it's way more valuable to spend that time with my child and my dog. Don't fucking do it. So this is what indicators do. They are averages. They are just formulas factoring in different variables like amount of candles divided by the day, and then this is it. This is the average, right? Again, I am not a technical analyst expert. I'm not expert on anything, but just so you know, I am. Just in case you can hear right now, I'm not an expert on this. Do your due diligence. Search on the Google, on Perplexity, watch videos, blah 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 for dummies. High and lows, resistance and support levels for dummies, and you find it. Okay, so high and lows, resistance and support levels. This is basically what I want to see. For example, we see here, this is for Iovance-specific. Okay? Every graph you're going to see here is Iovance-specific. So here you see that I basically put in on Trading View here, which is a tool that you can create a user for free for the first 30 days. I put the indicators, I think it was highs and lows. And basically, I extracted mathematically on a table what are my resistance and support levels, right? So we've seen in the past that usually the stock price is not going below 164, but we see that going after 4.33 is being a fucking nightmare, right? So I'm going to be paying attention to that and monitoring that basically, and making my assumptions, right? This is just to help you make decisions basically, as opposed to being every day checking the dates and stuff like that. Okay, then you have the average true range, which is about the movement of price, and it tells you the degree of volatility, Jesus, of a given stock, based again on averages. We see here that the 14-day ATR for Iovance is 0.03, blah, blah, low volatility. We've seen it. We've been in the 220s, twos for months without major movements, right? And if there was major movement based on a catalyst, it went back really quickly. What does that tell us? Consolidation. People are not selling, people are not buying. Some people are selling, some people are buying, but there is balance. What's happening? People are waiting because we have the catalyst and we don't know what's gonna happen. Okay, anyway, moving averages. So remember the apples and the averages and all that. This is exactly the same. This is just to understand. Basically, we're trying to extract meaningful information as opposed to being influenced and distracted by the fluctuations that has nothing really meaningful to say about my particular store. Okay, so you have different ones. You have moving average 20, 50, 100, depends on how many candles basically you are counting. Candle, remember, is a day, so one candle, one day, simple as that. So you have here some if statements. So when my current price is above, for example, moving average X, it means there is an upward trend. If it's below, it means it's potentially varies, like Iovance, I can already tell you. Basically, it's dynamic support. It tells you how you are doing today compared to, right, depending on the time frame X days. Then you have the bullish crossover, which is when the short-term moving average is above the long-term moving average, and then you could be thinking, oh my god, are we getting bullish, right? Um, Now for Iovance, I can tell you that we are very. There's not much I can tell you, unfortunately. Um, yeah. Okay, RSI. So this tells you if a company is overvalued or undervalued. I can tell you right away that we are undervalued. How do I know that? If I wanted to go to TradingView and click on the indicator section and find the RSI, okay, what is my RSI in the last 14 days? You see the RSI 14 close 46.60 blah blah. That tells me that in a 14-day framework, my RSI fluctuated between 46, 48. So I'm saying 46, blah, blah, I'm putting both. And because this is not above 70, which would tell me that my company is overvalued and I will better be selling or just holding, knowing that it's going to go down. Example, Nebius Group, what happened? Everyone got excited. They are amazing, right? When thing it's like infatuation. You meet someone and you're like, oh my god, their eyes, their mouth, they kiss so well, everything is so good. Oh my god. And then at some point you just relax. It's like, yeah, okay, he's a human being, relax, right? So it's the same. And then if there's a strong foundation in that relationship, it's probably going to go up, right? Because then we're talking about friendship and about love and about a life project together and those things, right? And then based on that and other things, it may go up, may go down. So this is exactly the same. People are not crazy. We speculate. Some of us like to take risks, or other less risks, but there's always going to be a balance. So in every graph, usually there is ups and there are lows and consolidation up and down and stuff like that. Okay. So we are basically, thankfully, in the undervalued, which is oversold, because basically you are technically oversold if the RSI is below 30, overbought if it's above 70. We are 40 something, let's say 50, so we are somewhere in between. But we know for a fact that unless something crazy happens, like really bad data and so on, we are more on the undervalue side, right? Because we are to USD. And we saw in the previous video in the valuation section that based on the assets that we have, the patents that we have and so on, we should be more towards the 10, 20, even maybe 30, right? So we pay attention to that. Now we have the moving average convergence. Blah, blah. I'm not going to focus on this. It's similar, the same, and we know that we are bearish. every indicator for Iovance is bearish. Why? Because many bad things happen to it. Like we are where we are in the biotech company life stage, really early. We are burning a lot of cash. We don't have that much cash. We are waiting on really binary catalysts that could go really well or could go to we could go to shit. There is risk, and that's it. We are very, unless something happens outside of us or inside of us, like good data, something new, we will continue most likely to fluctuate between that 2.22 whatever, right? Bowling bands. Honestly, it's same thing. I'm honestly not going to invest time on this right now. This is for you to look at and research on your free time. Again, we are bearish, and you can see that we basically don't touch the extremes, which is somewhat good. We are bearish, obviously, as you can see in the trend here. We're going down from up to down. That's it. We are somewhat stable in the 220s, which is something to celebrate, given that we were in the 160s a few months ago, right? Okay, this is going to be very difficult. Why? Because all this week I've been working on an Excel, and then when I'm trying to share the freaking Excel to make this video for you guys, I can't use it. And I basically had to put everything in a PowerPoint, which is what you have seen. So this is what I'm going to say is download the templates that I put on the YouTube description of this video and download them and play with them, okay? Now, catalyst outcome-based stock price simulation. Disclaimer, I do not see the future. And there's something just to add more complexity on the fact that we cannot see the future. I do not see in what order they are going to be publishing, launching this information, like land data is good or is bad, we got Switzerland approval or not, we don't know. And obviously that affects, that is going to, there is a compound effect that is going to affect the price that we get, right? So if they are really smart in the way that they actually share the information, and if they are really lucky so that the information and the outcome are good, Obviously, it's a completely different story than if they are not strategic or cannot be because some things are outside of their control, like Switzerland approval, right? Maybe we won't get as far as we could. Okay, so I really know that this is really small, which is it completely fucked up my presentation, and this is why I think you should check the template. So I'm going to do something, okay? So just so you know, I've done two Excels. The first one, basically, I'm listing when we expect to have certain things. For example, in 20, so this year in Q4, we are waiting for Iovance for IOVA 4001, which is the next generation of basically TL4 metastat for melanoma. Basically, it's still second line, but if we get better results because of the combination with talent, obviously a better business case for Iovance, right? So how likely is this to happen? What's the probability of positive outcome here? I'm saying 60%, right? It's really likely that it will be good. I would probably say 70-80%, but I want to be conservative here because I do not see the future and I don't really know the details, right? And then basically what I'm saying is in extreme bear scenario, if the data is bad, because we know from previous situations how bad, how low the stock price went, even though we didn't see it for this important piece of data. I'm saying that the stock price could go anywhere below like minus 25% or 40%, right? Based on different quality of data and how the market reacts, maybe it actually goes minus 10%. If the data is good, maybe in the base scenario when people don't go like crazy but they appreciate the importance, it goes up 20 or 50%. Okay, and then I'm going to do ponderations and averages. If it's bull, maybe we'll go up 50 to 100%. If it's extremely bullish, up to 100%. We've seen it before with Amtagi and the new CFO and the new FDA could guy. It could be the case, right? Then I'm saying that Q3 results, honestly, I'm giving it a 55% chance that it will actually go well. Why? Well, in this case, the past is useful to predict the future. They haven't had enough time, I think, to make meaningful changes and actually, let's say, reap the benefits of the efforts they've been doing. So I'm basically saying that the most likely scenario is either that the stock price goes somewhat between minus 20, 30% or even less, or it stays stable if the results are decent enough, right? Then if we go to endometrial cancer, second line or later, which is basically N202, which we are also waiting for this year, I'm saying that 60% likelihoods it will be decent enough. Again, based on the data, on the stock price that we saw for target data going up, I'm saying it may go up 10 or 40%. Okay. We also saw, by the way, that for Canada approval, it went up 7%. And this is relevant, right? And this is it's not regarding markets. It's a major update that you can basically then hopefully realize via different markets. So I'm saying that an increase between 10% and 40% is likely, right? Then it could be 40 or 80% or even 100%, right? Because endometrial is a decent size market. Switzerland approval, given the stock price went up for 7% for Canada, and the estimated market value was 400 million, and the Swiss market is 200 million and to 350 million, so really similar. I'm basically saying that the most likely outcome is somewhere between 5 and 50% in this case. Okay, if it's not, if the result is negative, I'm saying maybe the stock price will go minus 50%, 15% of minus 25. Okay. Lung data also being presented this year. Non-small lung cancer represents 85% of lung cancers. It's really slow and quiet. And even though there are improvements on the first line or something's coming, let's face it, in many cases, many patients won't be able to identify they have this level of massive cancer in their bodies and they will have to go second line. So if our data is good and I've assigned a 67% likelihood, why? Because I'm thinking good enough. I'm not saying extraordinary. They've already said that the data so far is proven to be enough. Why would they lie? It makes no sense whatsoever. The scientific team lying doesn't make sense whatsoever. It could be, I don't know. If it goes wrong, I think probably the stock price will go to minus 50%, even worse. If it goes well, I'm basically saying that most likely, in my opinion, it will go above 50% or even 200%. There are obviously other scenarios in between. We have extreme bear, base, bull. Okay. Then I'm assuming that all the things outside of our control and inside, like dilution, the X buy, competition. If Merck, for example, acquires other company and hence their budget to buy Iovance is lower. If there are changes in regulation, if the FDA says that actually they are not going to be giving more fast tracks, I'm saying that this is likely to affect 30 or 50% the stock price, and I think it may will, right? Maybe not, but we'll see. Again, I'm sorry, this is really small. I will show later in a screenshot something better with actual numbers, bigger. Then I'm saying FDA fast track announcement, because again, we could get two announcements. The first one is going to be if the data is good or not, and then the second one could be, although they may put them together, that we got a voucher for FDA fast track approval, right? If that's the case, I'm assuming that the stock price could actually go up like 30 or 60%. If we don't get FDA approval, doesn't really matter to an extent. We will just get regular FDA approval, and instead of having FDA approval, if we get it, we could have it by some point 2027 instead of late 2026, early 2027, right? But getting FDA approval, irrespectively of fast track, is a possibility. So I'm just saying, maybe if we don't get it, the stock price will go to minus 10 or 30%. Then the results. Okay, so because this will be Q4, I'm assigning a 60% likelihood that it will be good enough, as opposed to before, which I assigned like a yes or no, almost like 50-50. Why? Because it's more time, and time should favor Iovance, right? We will get efficiencies, we will get more profitable, we will get better, basically. So I'm basically saying that by then, that quarter, 2025 Q5, we will know in 2026, could either not impact the stock very much if it's just or it's decent, maybe like between 0 and 10%. Okay. Then the next question, are we going to have maintenance issues yet again? I don't know. What I'm saying is that if we do get it, it could impact minus 30%, like from 30% to 50% negative impact on the stock price based on previous data. If there is no maintenance issues, the impact is 0. Okay, this is why. Okay, then we are, remember, in 2026 now. We expect UK approval, and again, Canada moved the stock 7.6 up. The estimated market of Canada was between 300 and 400 million. UK is between 400 and 600 million, so more. There is also a connection between UK and the FDA Health Canada. So unless there's some really concerns around toxicity, something really weird, and again, we have real world data, so it's really unlikely. Hence why I've said that is 70% likely we'll get UK approval. I think will probably affect between 5 and 15%, maybe a bit more, but I'm being cautious, conservative. If that was the case, I think between 5 and 15% based on the 7% or 8% upward trend after Canada. Now, will 2026 Q1 results be better? They should, and I'm assigning a 70% likelihood, right? Again, we should see the reversal there. I think it's in 2026 Q1 when we are really going to see the reversal. Because again, we'll be more efficient, cheaper, because we fired, unfortunately, a lot of people, right? So I'm saying this should positively impact the stock price in 10-30%. Now, Australia approval. So I am assigning a 65-75% chance. Why? Similar. Usually, if the US, the FDA goes with it, the Canada relevant agency, TGA, will probably go with it, unless they see something, obviously. So again, Canada was 300, 400 million. Australia is 150 to 150. So I'm saying let's stay between the assumption that we will move up or down between 5 or 15%, or maybe less. If it's a negative outcome, maybe we'll go from we will see a decrease in the price of between minus 10 and 15, right? Okay, then I don't think people are paying enough attention. Everyone is quite obsessed with land data, and rightly so, because the market size is much bigger. But I will talk in a minute about the buyout case. But what is is TIL301. This is basically the combination of Amtagvi and Keytruda for melanoma first line, right? Please note, and I put it there, Keytruda represents above 50%, according to Merck's records, of the profits. And the patents, whatever, expire in 2028. If this data is good, We do not only unblock the possibility of going first line, which is absolutely crazy. We unblock the possibility of a buyout. Like really, it could happen, right? And we will talk about that later on. If this happens, I believe, and obviously I don't see the future, this is just an estimation, we are likely, instead of experiencing like between 10-50% with I of 4001, I think we are really likely to go to the plus 50, 80%, and maybe even more. But again, I'm being conservative somewhat. Okay, so this is key. This is essential, this news. Then again, this is likely to happen, but we don't have a date. But we assume that this still 301 with Keytruda should be shared. The data read out at some point in 2026. So I'm being relatively conservative and saying that it will happen in the second half. In the second half, we have two reasons for concern. I don't know why it's not there. Okay. First of all, no, let's focus on this. Okay, so by then, 26 Q2, Q3, if properly timed with 301, again, Keytruda combo, we could actually be having a partnership or a buyout, right? And if that happens, I'm saying that the stock price premium will go +2, +3, +4. This is what we are all waiting for. And I'm saying that the likelihood is 60%, as we currently stand, because I don't know how the data is going to be. If the data is good in every single indicator, or only in Keytruda and so on, and maybe, I don't know, maybe 4001, or maybe, I don't know, lung, most like definitely lung, it's extremely likely it will happen. It wouldn't be a 60%, right? It will be 70, 80%. But obviously, I don't see the future. I don't know. So I'm keeping it conservative, 60%. Now, we will get to the 2026 Q2. They should be good enough. What the hell is that? That's incorrect. That is incorrect. Okay, ignore the one below that. Right. Something that people are forgetting about, cervical cancer, right? Second line. The C14504 data readout should come next year at some point. I'm just saying Q whenever. Cervical cancer second line, this market is estimated to be 400 to 700 million, right? Rather relevant. And actually, I thought I had put comparable data to understand what was the size of each. Fuck, I forgot. Sorry, I've made so many edits. I fucked up. Just check on the internet market size, estimated market size for Iovance based on this or that cancer type and second line. Right, it's important. You put second line. And then just do the numbers. Okay, I'm saying that the data is likely to be positive, but I'm not crazy positive about it. So I'm assigning that 60%. If it's negative, maybe minus 25%. If it's positive, maybe somewhere between 20-50% based on what we've seen. I don't know. I don't see the future. Now, cash burnout. There's different possibilities, right? They could do equity if by then, and obviously they won't wait until the moment they don't have money. They would be basically dilute. So if land data, for example, is good and the stock price goes up, because the push of the demand is going to be really high, they will likely sell, right? Because the push of the demand is going to compensate the massive sell that they will do to basically to fund themselves. So I'm assuming that this is the most likely thing to happen, which basically corresponds to equity financing, that's dilution. And I think that's likely to affect the stock price between 30 and 60% based on previous data. Maybe not, it depends on the size. And it will compensate. Then debt financing, the usual. Cost cutting and restructuring, well, we've done that already. I don't think we will do it again, but who the fuck knows? You have the relevant percentage. Asset sales or licensing data, they could. This could be good or bad. I don't know. I couldn't assess. I can't assess it right now. And then obviously bankruptcy or restructuring. I want to believe that if everything went to hell, we still have melanoma. If, for example, the combo with Keytruda is good, we should be acquired maybe by Merck, just cheaper than we would like, right? I don't know. I don't see the future. Now, at some point in 2026 or maybe 2027, based on FDA fast track or not, we could get lung approval. If the data was good, 100% we will get it, which is the assumption that I'm making. If it's not good, obviously we won't, and that mathematics are really simple. I'm saying that if we get FDA approval, we'll likely go between 200 and 300%. Why? Because again, if we go back to the historic data for Amtaglia, I think we went up 90%. After that, now the business case will be much stronger because we have melanoma, lung, the market is much bigger. We are basically validating the platform narrative, which is that Iovance is building a platform to cure several cancers. What's the value of that? Fucking crazy, right? So I'm factoring all that in. Then let's say that till 301, and remember, the data they present next year, if I'm correct, could be registrational, like lung right now. So we could get fast track FDA for that, right? Because it would be Antacvi plus Keytruda, first line. What else do you want? Most likely to go to push the stock price under my assumptions and the data that I've seen. And again, it's not that much because we've only got one approved thing, so it's not like I have too much data to mine. Basically, I'm saying plus between 200 and 300, maybe more, maybe less. I don't know. Then we have 26 Q4. Blah, blah, I don't know. I'm assuming it will be better. It would push the stock between 10 and 30%. Should. And then obviously we have the risk that we factor in for 2025, dilution, competition, rate cuts, FDA change in FDA approval, FDA regulations, many things that could happen. Okay. So this is one of the templates that you will have on the Excel that I'm going to share. Then you have this one, which basically will help you calculate. So what have I done? Okay, here we have in the different scenarios a range, a percentile range, right? Obviously, if I want to do maths, I need to come up with one number specifically. So what have I done? Averages, right? If I'm saying here that the most likely price here between minus 30% and 50%, 50 plus 30 is 80 divided by 2, there you go, 40%. Okay. So this, because you won't see shit, unfortunately, because of this nightmare that I had, this is a template that you can use and basically use your biases, your beliefs about what's going to happen to calculate. Okay. What I've done here, basically, is an estimation based on certain things likely or not to go good or wrong. Okay. So this is another template that you will have, which is your each scenario. Here, I've put a mixed scenario. So what have I done for all the scenarios, by the way? I've put that the base price for all the calculations is 222. I know that at the time that I'm making this video, the stock price was like 240. I believe it won't hold because it never does. Although maybe by the time that I publish this, I doubt it because I will be quick. We got news. It's likely to go down to, remember, the channel resistance and support is somewhere in between, right? It's in consolidation. There are no news, no reason to sell or to buy. People are holding, like, what the fuck is happening? Some people are leaving, some people are buying, right? This compensation is stable. It's mostly a straight line, right? The line is inside to a straight line, so I mean this is stable. If you went up, the right, you get the feeling. Anyway, so I'm saying the base price for the stock price calculation is 2022. Okay. Now, with regards to IOVA 4001 being good, or what's going to happen, I'm basically using the basis scenario. I'm saying that it's likely to be good. Why? Because I know that Iovance works for second line. So if this is supposed to be an improvement, it's likely to be better. So I'm basically factoring in that the stock price is likely to go up 35%. Yeah, 35% based on the information that I got from when the Amtagvi data was good back in the days. Okay. So basically, if you increase by 35%, the 2.22, the result is 3. Okay. Now this is the compound effect. Remember here, the exercise I'm doing is I'm basically assuming this is the, okay, this is a good point. Let's explain. Assuming, so I'm listing this catalyst in an order that I assume is likely to happen. I don't see the future. I'm not Iovance. I don't know if this is going to be the case, but this is really simple. This template, you can use it anyway, because if tomorrow they published end data, you can just move the row up and then continue with the calculations based on the weight, the bias that you personally have, your belief on what's likely to happen here, right? So I'm assuming that Iovance 4001 is going to go first just because I don't have any reason to believe otherwise or believe so. So I'm just making a random decision. I don't have anything else, right? So again, I'm assuming it will be positive, and I'm giving it a weight of 35%. So from 222 to 3%, to 3 USD. Sorry. Now, Q3 results. I'm honestly, I don't have a strong belief, so I'm assuming that it will go down 20%. Sorry. So I've done the calculations. 3 now 2.240. Okay. Then we get endometrial data, and I'm assuming I have strong reasons to believe that it will be good, and the market is big. So I'm assigning a 60% weight. Okay. And then we're getting to 3.84. Now, if I go to Switzerland approval based on the Canada information, I'm assuming that it's likely to be positive. So I'm giving it a 10% because Canada was 7%. And remember, the Switzerland market is bigger and they have a strong connection also with the FDA and the Canadian authority. So I'm saying it's likely to be positive and I will give it a 10%. Come on. So 4 to 2. Okay. Now, lung data. I'm going to give it a. I'm going to assume it's good enough, and it has some possibilities to get an FDA fast track. Although we'll see what I will think about that later. And I'm giving it a 2.5. That's an increase of 250, like 250%. This is I'm assuming a lot, right? This will basically take the stock to 14, and I could assume that it will go to the 11, 20, 12 instead. But let's say that I'm positive, and there is some point like Iovance is gaining in strength. People were interested in seeing 4001 endometrial. More people are like, oh my god, actually these guys are incredible, and they only cost 3.84. Fuck it, I'm going to go in, right? So let's say we get to 422 with to 14 with land data. Then we're going to have competition, dilution, shitty news. So I'm going to say basically that this dilution that we're going to do, potential bad news and stuff like that, industry specific, so maybe the world specifics, from 1477 to 14, let's say, that we went from lung data, we are going to correct a little bit, right? Because we went really up. We're going to correct to 11. And by the way, we could correct even more and go down way more, right? So that's it. We made it to 2026, right? So maybe before the end of the year, so also this year or early next year, the FDA could actually announce that we get FDA fast track, right? A voucher. It could be the case, it could not be the case. Let's assume that it is the case, right? I think this could probably push the stock 45%. And again, remember, this is my biases. If you think that this is not the case, take the template and use any other percentage as a reference and do your maths. This is the beauty of what I've done. You personalize it based on your biases. These are my biases. I don't see the future. And I am not a scientist. I am not a professional investor. Okay, so again, yeah, so let's say that we get a voucher for FDA fast track approval. I'm saying we go back to the 40s after going down after dilution and so on. Now we are in 100% in 2026. We get the Q4 results and they are somewhat okay. So a 5% increase. Fuck it. We are still in the 40s, for 14s, sorry. Schedule maintenance. Do we have it? I'm saying not. I'm being quite positive, but I am basically saying that we correct a little bit and we go back to 1163. Okay, so another correction because we can't grow too fast. That's never good. UK approval, good news. 22% up. That may be a bit too much, right? Now that I'm realizing. So let's go back to the 14s. Okay, let's say that I could be right. 2026 Q1 results, they should be good. They should be good. And this, together with the momentum, should really push it. And I'm saying, and it may be somewhere a bit less like 10%, I'm saying it will go up to 10%, the stock price. So we are back to the 17s, sorry. Then we get Australia approval. And again, the market is a bit smaller, but it's decent. So I'm saying 10%. Fuck it. Canada was 7. I want to simplify my math. I'm saying 10%. Okay, so now we move to 18, closer to 19, but I will just say the first 2 digits, 18. Okay. Then we get T301 data readout, which is Keytruda, which opens the gate to a potential buyout. This is extremely strategic, fucking strategic, super strategic. Okay, so I'm saying this is likely to be good. I am assigning a weight of 65%. So we are going right into the 30s, 31. USD. Okay, then we get Q2 2026 Q2 results. They are decent, 20% up. We are close to the 40s. Now everyone seems to also have forgotten about the cervical cancer, which provided really good data. And second line, the market is between 400 and 700 million, right? That is a lot. Melanoma is between 1.5 and 2. So that is actually a really relevant market for us. And this is why I am giving it a weight of 60%. So we are now closer to the 60s, right? I've already mentioned a few things that I think I've been a bit too optimistic, but we've also been punished quite a lot. So why not? We could get to 60. Is a possibility, right, in the realm of reality. Now, the two dangerous things. If we dilute or we go to shit as a company, obviously the very I think and the scenarios are way easier to make. We will just test support. We could go below 190, the 90s, then below the 160s, and go to 50 cents. That could perfectly be the case, right? We are hoping not, because we have strong reasons to believe that we won't, but we do not see the future, so do factor that possibility in. Okay, so I'm saying there will be dilution, and I put it at the back or the bottom of the table. There will be dilution, there will be correction for sure. But if there is a buyout, remember that we could basically see our stock price multiply by two, and I'm saying by 250%. That will basically take us to the 150s. Is that going to happen? I don't know. I assume a lot of things will go down, go wrong, but many things could go right. Right. This is the whole point. Then we will see if we actually get LAM FDA approval, whether it was, more towards the end of 2026 and beginning of 2027, or mid or late 2027, based on fast track FDA approval or not. We will basically get LANG. Remember that Amtagvi approval pushed the stock 90% right up, and we'll have to see if the market knows, right? Because let's face it, there is manipulation. There is people filter information to the hedge fund managers and all that, right? So maybe the stock price was already being prepared way in advance, and hence, if you actually factor in that the increase based like related to the FDA approval of Antaki was actually 200%, right? I don't know. I would do I would need to make better mathematical models, and as you can extract from this call, my one is not the best. It's not super advanced. It's just an exercise that I wanted to do, that you should do with your template and your biases and your assumptions, and please challenge your assumptions. Okay, so let's say that we get so honestly, I'm basically saying then that 26 Q3 results are decent, so another 20%, it could be 10%, 5%, so something bad could have happened, and minus 20%. Do your math. EMA approval for Amtagvi melanoma second line, I am saying is likely to go up by around 30% based on previous data, so we'll be in the 127s. Then Iovance 301, remember, so we will get data earlier in the year, registrational data. Technically, if I haven't misunderstood anything, please check this by yourself. Yes, sorry. We could basically get, again, if they exist next year, and I don't know, I don't see the future, hence why legislations and macros and micro variables matter, if there is still FDA fast track approval, we could get a voucher for Iovance 301, because remember, we are clear about the fact that Amtagvi works for melanoma second line. Keytruda definitely works for melanoma first line. So if we are combining Amtagvi second line with Keytruda first line, the results should be good. So far, the results were good. So remember, the trend is my friend. Technically, we should not have bad news, but I do not see the future. So you believe what you believe, and just put the numbers. By then, I'm saying basically that after some correction, we will be in the 90s, 90. Okay. Then we get 2026 Q4. It could be good, it could be bad. I don't see the future. I'm saying it should be okay, right? By end of 2026, at some point 2027, we should be on the way to break even. What does break even mean? That what I spend and what I sell cancels each other out, right? So I'm not making money, but I'm not losing money. So I'm basically saying Amtagvi sales should ramp up, and we'll see about that. This is also a risk that is factoring in the price right now. Then if we get lung approval, obviously this is another market. It would take time, adoption, blah blah. That's another source of income. If all these things happen, it would push us. The same ones that Iovance 301, if it happens, happens, more money, right? So break even sooner. And obviously there will be dilution, competition, so many things could happen. So honestly, just what I would do, honestly, I would just add in between 3 or 4 catalysts, or even 2 catalysts. I would add a percent of dilution. I would add a minus 10-20% of dilution. Okay, so feel free to play with these templates. Okay, so this is it. The last two, there are 2 more. Okay, something else that I want to focus on really quickly is the big pharma. Why is everyone saying that Iovance is going to be bought by a pharma? Sorry, I'm just actually going to take this off because it's really hot. So, what triggers a big pharma buyout, right? These seven things that I've put here. First of all, obviously, I'm a big pharma. I'm a big pharma guy. I have a lot of money. I do want to make more money. I want to, let's say, secure my strategic position in the markets. I want to make more money. So obviously, if I want to de-risk what I'm going to buy, if I want to, right, get a better return investment, and or maybe not, psychologically get the better return investment, knowing that I am safer, right? I would buy a company that has FDA approval, right? I know that if I can buy a company, obviously, if I identify a company that is in really early stage in clinical trials, that I see that the model they are using, the science they are using is going to kill it, obviously I will buy them now if they let me cheaper, right? 100%. Iovance seems to have said no to a buyout in the past. This is what everyone, like some people are saying. Is it the case? I don't know. I don't see the past. I don't know anyone. I don't have data, factual information supporting that claim. Okay, but anyway, obviously we have FDA approval for Amtagvi, and it's going well, and then we potentially get a fast track voucher for lung cancer data, like lung cancer, sorry, and the data is strong, and there's a strong reason to believe that we will get an FDA approval. So obviously, you see, and it's not so clear that we'll get FDA approval, right? It could happen that we don't, but there are reasons to believe that we could, and this is why we are here. Now, again, maybe, as I said, they don't want to go as far as FDA approval, but they already seen phase two of phase three trials, like 301, 4001 lung data, and so, and no, 4001 is, I think, it's a bit behind the curve. But just go to the Iovance website, go to the pipeline, and see if in what phase of the clinical trials are. If you're a visual person, just see how far the bar goes. You will see at the top references to FDA. So obviously, the closer they are to the right end of the table, the more advanced and closer to FDA approval they are. Approval, or let's say presentation, or trying to get approval, right? So again, we have lung data, IOVA 301, we have cervical, right? What else you want? Then patent expirations. Yes, thank you. We have Iovance 301 combination of Antagvi with Keytruda. Keytruda is the patents are expiring in 2028. Merck has a lot of money. People, the industry are putting crazy a lot of money in cell therapies. Guess who does cell therapy? Iovance. Okay, so obviously it has enormous strategic value in many different ways if the data is good. Um, yeah, obviously the other major reason is that TIL therapy, who has FDA approval? What is the only company in the world that has FDA approval for TIL therapy? Iovance, right? And obviously that means that we are the only company in the world that has a manufacturing process, systems, people trained. We have like lots of assets, lots of wealth in that sense for TIL therapy. No one else has it. So that's obviously also should be factoring in the buyout price. That's why it can be multiplied, like by the time that we get there, we could see multiply the current the stock price at the time by 2 or by 3 or by 4. I don't know. Just check historic data. This is what I found in previous companies of similar size and similar challenging situations. Okay, so this is why basically I've created this table so that you can see a custom made table for Iovance, but this is basically what I've said, right? Verbally. Which are the three companies based on all the research that I've found? ChatGPT, Perplexity, Reddit, Google, research papers, Mother of Jesus papers. I've done a lot of research. These three: Merck, Gillette, however it's pronounced, and Bristol Myers Squibb, BMS. Merck, BMS, Gillette. These are the three companies that are most likely to acquire Iovance, and there is a really strong business case for Merck. What would be the ideal scenario? That they all want Iovance and they have to fight for Iovance, right? So we get the best price, and we see the stock price multiplied like crazy. Okay, so this is it. This is everything. This is just the beginning, really. You need to download the templates. play with the templates. The good thing about the templates is that you just amend the order of the rows and you amend the numbers. And as those catalysts happen and you actually get the real numbers and you can do the real mathematics, adjust the model, right? I will be adjusting the model. Unfortunately, I think that now that I've done a couple of videos, I am forced um, in terms of responsibility to do more videos to correct what I shared and all this fucking shit. So you may see more videos of me, but I need to take a break because I work 9 to 6 and these videos take a lot of time, okay? Anyway, I'm going to leave you here. Remember, please be responsible. This is looking good. There are really strong reasons to believe that Iovance will have a bright future, but even if we get there, it's not going to be easy. And we have how many catalysts do we have? It's like crazy amount of catalysts. Like something will go wrong, and maybe the stock price won't go up 10%. It will go up 3% because they diluted, or something happened. Maybe a competitor. We really need to watch out for competitors, right? First line. If thankfully a competitor is managing to save a patient in first line, they won't get to us in second line, right? So we need to pay attention to people trying to save people's lives with melanoma, non-small lung cancer, endometrial cancer, cervical cancer, right? Trying to save those patients both in... Yeah, cariño. Mi perro, my dog, she wants to go out. ¿Qué pasa, cariño? So I show her to you. ¿Qué pasa? ¿Dónde estás? A ver. ¿Qué pasa, mi amor? Anyway, she's black, so she's really hard to see. Yeah, we cariño. Okay, I'm going to leave you there, right? I'm just saying, many things could go wrong, and I'm sure that some of them will go wrong. Just adapt the model. Do reach out in the comment section if I've done something, I've said something incorrect. If there's something that you feel I should have added, I do appreciate that information is power. Please don't do that. Like, people here are generally just trying to make money. In many cases, just to survive really difficult situations. If you know something that could help someone, obviously I'm not talking about insider information. Please don't do that. That would be really stupid of you to do. If you no hagas pisa y calle. Ven, cariño. Right, if you know something, if I've said something wrong, just correct me on the YouTube video, stop tweets, X. By the way, you should do that. You should. Can I write here? No, I can't. Anyway, check the X community and the stop tweets community. That's where basically most people gather to talk about Iovance. In the case of Iovance, stock tweets is way more interesting. It has more people. More people means more perspectives, more people to challenge you and contribute to your current view on things, right? X is great. You have biotech scanner, you have Danesfera and a couple of other people contributing, which is great. But again, I really think that, right, collective intelligence matters. The more, the merrier, as the French say it. So yeah, anyway, 86 minutes, mother of God. I shall leave you there. Best of luck. Okay, I actually don't know how to stop this without shit. Okay, now I have a problem. I don't know how to stop this. No.